Welcome back to the Coaching Network. My name is Maria Medina. I am your business and networking coach. And today we are joined by one of my clients and as well a very special SEO expert that I use for my own websites. Kirsten, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kirsten Gollier. Like Maria said, I do search engine optimization. I mostly focus with small businesses and just try to get them traffic to their websites and grow their business online. And I've been doing this I've had my business for almost 2 years.
That was actually going to be one of my questions. How long have you been doing it? And then how long have you been in the industry?
So I got into SEO. I started my career in just general digital marketing. And then in 2017, I switched to focus just on SEO. And I bopped around to a bunch of different agencies around the country. And then in May of 2023, I was like, I feel like I've learned a ton from everybody I've worked for, and now I want to take all that and do it all by myself. So I registered the LLC in May 2023.
Awesome. So you're coming up on your second year in 2 months.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got to celebrate that. And apart from starting your own business, what has been your greatest success so far?
It's exciting to hit 2 years. And it's funny, I think this last year, I almost feel like the first year didn't really count. I don't know. Like, I feel like my most success has come in the last 6 months. And the biggest success is really just like I'm now meeting all my goals, I have all my clients that I ever wanted, and basically what I set out to do in the last couple months, I've accomplished that and meeting my financial goals and my client goals. So I really feel like it all just picked up in the second year. The first year was just a lot of like, what's going on?
And I think we met and we started working together when you were just coming into your second year.
Yeah, we met like last February or March 2024. That was like a turning point where it was like, okay, now we've gotten kind of over the humps, and like now let's focus on actually doing the work, because the first year was just like figuring everything out.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like that first year, even sometimes it's the first to 1 to 3 years that they're like, what am I doing? What is working? Trying to figure it out. And we went through it in our recent coaching hour where I was talking about you have to pay attention to what you're doing. You have to gather data in some sense so that you can make informed decisions about what's working and what isn't. And most importantly, you have to be honest with yourself. Am I taking too long of a break? Am I starting late? Am I losing time because I'm checking my email too much or going on social media too much?
Yeah, I almost feel like when I think about the first year, like when I think of this past year, I'm almost like that was my first year. Because like actual first year, I had also just like I had jumped right from the job into starting my own company. So I felt like part of me was like, let's just ease in. Let's take a little hiatus almost. So the first couple months, I really gave myself a lot of time to just research. I was watching a lot of webinars and had notebooks of just notes. I feel like a lot of me was like, well, so I started the LLC in May, and I didn't say I launched until July. So the first 2 or 3 months, I was just like, said, filling up notebooks of notes. I just wasn't really ready to say I was a real business yet. So it was a lot of just learning.
Yeah. And I found that similar to my business. I started my business officially December 2022. Before that, I was doing just workshops and I was doing it just under Maria Medina. But the coaching network officially launched December 2022, and then so I had that whole of 2023 and then a little bit of 2024, and I moved from Florida to California. And in that move, I was like, okay, like business as usual. Let's keep going. And I didn't give myself that breather that, hey, let's reevaluate. You're in a new place. You got to rebuild a network. You got to So I feel now that I'm like, okay, yeah, as much as I had the business since December 2022, I started a new count and new data and new analysis May of 2024. And that's where now I started new information because I'm in a new place, I'm in a new location. It's different now. You're in different, and we don't give ourselves that breather room. We don't give ourselves, I guess that we're hard on ourselves and we think, yeah, we've been doing this for that long. And we spoke about it as well during the coaching hour. We said we keep shooting all over ourselves. I should do this. I should do that. I should be at a higher sales. I should have this many clients. Where it's like, why? Ask yourself why. And to that effect, what has been your greatest challenge so far in business ownership?
I think you and I both know my biggest struggle is always time management and just managing my time. And I think that's also why the first year was hard, was because there's no set schedule for starting your own business. There's no path really. I guess some people probably make like roadmaps and you can follow each day what they're doing, but it was kind of just throwing things at the wall. One day I'll work on this, and the next day let's try this. And it really just felt like I wasn't accomplishing much because I was just doing a bunch of random stuff. So I think just figuring out a daily plan, a weekly plan, a monthly plan, I didn't really have that for much of the first year. And so I don't even really know if I think I've definitely gotten better at managing my time, but it's funny. I think once the business starts to do better, you face a make it or break it moment where it's like you have to be better at managing your time because now you have work to do. So I think I just naturally do better now that I have a set of things I have to get done. Whereas it's hard when you're first starting because there's not a set list of things you have to get done. So I think just time management has been the biggest struggle. Sometimes self-discipline. I think, like I said, that first few months I was like, you've worked hard your whole life. Give yourself a couple months. And so there's a lot of let's sleep in today, or let's take a half day, or let's take Fridays off. And since there wasn't a lot of due dates or deadlines and stuff, it didn't really feel like I was doing anything wrong because I wasn't missing anything, but I also wasn't making much or any money. So just I'd say self-discipline is hard as a business owner, and just time management in general.
And I find that those are often interconnected with the self discipline of knowing what you have to do, but then scheduling the time and sticking to it, as well as in the time management aspect, knowing what it is that you have to do. Like, what is that? What is going to generate revenue for me? What is going to make me more productive? And one of the things that we went through with our coaching sessions was figuring out, hey, I'm more productive in the evening. I'm more productive from like 3 to 6 p.m. and that's okay. I just need to work with that.
And I think something I am happy I did the first 6 months or so is like, I don't think you really should rush your launch because sometimes I look back at the work that past Kirsten did and I'm like, this was so smart of you. Because once you get the ball rolling, it's hard to go back. So I had my invoices ready to go. I had my contracts written. I had created a bunch of social media stuff because it was slow. I didn't have clients, so I had all this time to do this stuff. I had written all my website content and stuff like that. You want to do that before you're public because best case your business takes off, you're not going to have time to go back and write these long contracts or go back and create all these email funnel or something like that. What's the word? Kind of like admin stuff. I'm really happy I did that before starting because knowing myself now, I had to do that today. I'd be like, there's no time to do a freaking contract right now. Sometimes I'll find if I need a bio written about myself, I'll find an old document that I named Kirsten bio, or it's wow, this was so nice that I wrote this out. So just like putting in all the work and like saving everything, someday you might need it.
But that requires you as much as when you're doing the business plan, which I know a lot of people that will do a business plan and they'll launch that and then they never look at it again. It's more of a practical business plan in the sense of what does client acquisition look like? What does client onboarding look like? What does client retention look like? And once you have a process map for each of those things, even what does client offboarding look like, then you can say, okay, so then client acquisition is this. What does my marketing look like? Client onboarding is this. So what is my invoicing, my contract? And then you start seeing what will I need when I onboard my first client, and you can make adjustments after.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I'm not a planner, so when I saw that some banks require a business plan, or I don't know, like some documents I needed, was that it was recommended to maybe have a loose business plan written. And as of someone who's not a planner, I was so annoyed about writing that because I was like, I know what I want to do. Why do I have to make a little plan about it? And I was watching all those YouTube videos, like I said, and everyone was like, write a business plan. So I was like, they said I should, so I did. And I was annoyed the whole time. And then I said I don't really look at that plan, but just the process of doing it did help me. And what you just said, the processes, I found a document I wrote, which was like my processes for onboarding and my monthly, what I had, I like my ideal was. I found it a few months in when I did get a client, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I wrote all this down. And like, I had like Asana, and I had come up with all the tasks for each step. I was like, this is so smart. I'm glad I did this, but I wouldn't do that now because I'm so in the weeds. But like, ask Kirsten. Good job.
And to the effect of that business plan, when I launched mine, I didn't write a full business plan because I said, what is, I'm writing fluff. I'm not applying for a loan, so I don't need it. I've got the funding that I need. I found this really good resource, and I'll look for it so that I can share it in the links in the description. And it was called a lean business plan, and it's one page. It's a single page, and I have mine open, and it says, what is the identity of your brand? What solution are you bringing? Who's your competition? What marketing activities do you need to do in order to run your business? What does the team look like? So, you, as their additional roles, what problem are you solving? For who? Target market. Where are your revenue streams? So, is it, so for me, it was my weekly coaching, my one on one coaching, my groups, my events. And what does a budget look like? So what are you thinking about spending every month on what and why? And obviously adding that. And the really good thing that I found was it has a section for milestones, and I use this in my goal tracker that is in the resources on my website. But it really said, okay, what am I tracking? Everything that I'm doing, what is that going to convert to? And I converted that to number of clients. So I said, in my year one, I want 10 clients. My year two, I want 25. And my year three, I want to be starting rotating between that 20 to 25 clients. So I always have revolving clients coming in and out. And then eventually, what does that 5 to 10 year look like? And it's one sheet. It's literally one sheet of paper, and you can just go as detailed or as high level as you want. And was more useful to me, I found, than a business plan would have ever been, because then from there I was able to do my process mapping and, like you said, go through the documents that I need, the processes, the automations, and things like that. So what is one thing that you wish you would have known before you started your own business?
I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying about how this past year feels like my first year. I think I just wish I had known that it's normal for it to take a little more time than you thought. I think also my husband having some expectations for both of us of like what to expect, because I think I knew it wasn't going to be instant, obviously, but I think I thought maybe I would be 50% to my target in that first year. Maybe I won't have the number of clients I thought, but maybe I'll have like half or something like that. But in reality, it was more like a quarter. And it took 3 or 4 months before I even had a client. So it was like, I think just being realistic. And unless when you have your current job, you're already setting yourself up with clients or work, you're probably not going to, right when you launch, have a steady revenue or meet your goals, basically. So, and it's hard because if you're not meeting your goals, you're kind of discouraged. And then at the moment you feel discouraged as a business owner, you're thinking, I talked about this yesterday at the coaching session, you are automatically in the back of your head, like, I just give up. Maybe I should just give up. I could get a part-time job today. Or there was moments where I was Googling easy money. I was looking at doing surveys online to get paid $5 per survey or something. So I was like, at least that way I'll have a little bit of chunk change. And so it was like, and then when you're doing those things, you're getting distracted. So then I was spending an hour looking into surveys, and my husband would be like, I'm fine with you not making money. I want you to focus on the business, not looking at weird ways to make money on the side. So, not letting discouragement come in the way, because I think I wasn't fully invested that first 6 months because I was just kind of like, what am I doing? So, I feel like that's totally normal because I feel like we kind of panic when we're like, whoa, we had a job and now we don't.
Yeah, and that it's so common so that there is a overcoming discouragement worksheet on my free resources. Like that's how much people come to me and they're in that state, whether they're new or whether they're 10 years in. Like I've got clients right now that of course the economy is like, whoa, like what's happening? Like, and so people are watching what they're spending. So a lot of people are not spending on certain products and people are panicking and they're holding off and making decisions. And so that slows down the spending. And then you're like, oh, should I still be in this? You've been doing it for 10 years. Just hang, like you went through COVID. Just hang on. It's going to change. We're going to figure it out. But you gotta change what you're doing then as well. You gotta change. Okay. So the situation has changed. I can't keep doing what I've been doing for the last however many months or years. I have to change what I'm doing. And people forget that. And there's always, and we spoke about, there's always that little carrot dangling. And I mentioned I got a job offer, like somebody was trying to recruit me last year. And it's like, oh, well, that's, I don't have to work as hard potentially. But then you don't have the flexibility, you don't have the impact. So what are you losing out on there? And as people want to get into their own business and they want to start their own business, get out of that corporate life or working for somebody else, what is one resource that you recommend for them going into business or for somebody that's struggling with business right now?
Yeah, I would say for me, nothing has been better for my business than networking. So, those first few months, May until I think September or October, months where I was like, this is not working. I was basically hitting people up on LinkedIn or emailing people I went to conferences with and were like, hi, would you like my SEO services? And I was being one of those weird cold calling people that you hate, and I was just so confused. How do people meet people? How do people get clients? I'm posting on social media. I have a blog. I have my website that's SEO optimized. But I think until you meet people, no one's going to know what you're doing, really. So in September of my first year, October, I started networking. I joined a group called Startup Society. And I'd say that's what really introduced me to networking at first. That's also where I got the business plan that I ended up doing. She has a really nice business plan that's really small too. So that was great because I met a group of people who also were starting businesses. And then I got Alignable. I really recommended Alignable at one point because I was networking on there. And then now I mostly do Lunch Club, and I do this thing called the Playhouse by Dana Seymour. But I think just finding different networking groups is been the best thing for my business because it sounds so simple, but like you meet people and it takes a while. It's not instant, obviously. You'll meet someone and then 6 months later they'll hit you up for something. So it's definitely not an instant thing. Sometimes it is, and that's a good day. But it's also just a great way to because it can feel so isolating as a business owner. So I feel like that was the first time I was like, oh, I'm not alone. Everybody's experiencing this. So I think those networking groups I listed, but also there's a whole bunch of others. And finding the group you like, then you can get referrals, you can make friends. That's kind of been invaluable for me.
Yeah, I think people forget that networking isn't just for sales. Networking is for building community. Networking is for finding resources for yourself, for your clients. And I found a lot of my vendors, my suppliers to networking, as well as my clients and friends that I continue to stay in touch with. So we'll make sure to share some of those networking groups that we belong to in the description so that you guys can check them out. And to finish off this session of Let's Talk Business, what is one fun fact you would like to share about yourself?
Well, so this is timely. So the Oscars were this week that we're talking. And so a fun fact about me is each year I watch every single Best Picture nominee. And I've been doing that since 2011. So I've watched every single Best Picture nominee since 2011. Well, so I went to school for film production and I have a film studies minor. So just loving movies and loving study of film. But then I also just like award shows in general. And then I'm also just a very obsessive person. So if I have that goal, I have to do it. I was really bad this year and I had only seen 3 or 4 of them a week before the Oscars. So I had to watch 5 movies last week just to get caught up. And the normal person would have been like, it's fine, we did bad this year. But I was like, no, I'm going to stay up all night on Thursday and watch 3 movies. And then on my lunch break, watch like half a movie. And like, so I had to. And it's not like I go to some sort of party or some sort of poll with someone. It's just me. I just watch them by myself. I don't talk to anyone about them. I just do it all in my head. And it's funny because like last week was the end of the month, which is the busiest time of the month for me. So I was already so stressed from just like getting work done. And then I was like, let's put this other accomplishment that we want to meet on top of that. Like, it was just a crazy week.
That's so fitting because it happens to us as business owners as well. Like, as much as it is like, I'm obsessed with this, I'm obsessed with that. Like, we often put these expectations on ourselves that we're like, why? Like, why do you have this? Because I said so. We've been speaking for a year and I didn't know this about you and I didn't know that you like minored in film, and my wife used to work in the film industry and then she went on to teach film in college. So thanks for sharing that fun fact and thanks for being on here today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if anybody wants to reach back out to you, whether it's to hire you for your services or to just befriend you and network with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. And then, so I'd say LinkedIn. Email's probably the fastest way, but I like LinkedIn the best for following up and seeing each other. But if you want an answer, I would say email.
If you're interested in her services, email her. If you want to network with her, hit her up on LinkedIn so that she can connect with you. Thank you again for being here today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Let's Talk Business. Again, if you are interested in being featured on the series, make sure that you hit that apply button in the comments. And I'd love to share your story. Let's build that community and let's continue to learn from each other. Thanks again, Kirsten.